is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
When you draft a guy, you have to understand what you have, and then you have to then complement them. Whether it's Brady, give him the wall of Montezuma in a running game because he can't move. So if you give him a crappy line, you're not going to get anywhere, just like Mahomes last year in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? If you have a Kyler Murray, this guy understands Kyler Murray and has the kind of offense that Kyler Murray can succeed in. It doesn't matter what kind of quarterback you have. You got to understand it. And I really commend them that they got a guy that isn't a great passer, but he is a great athlete. And they stay totally committed to the way he needs to play the game in order for them to succeed. Whether that will win a Super Bowl or not, that's a whole different ball game. But they've made the best out of that situation, which I don't know if a lot of teams would have been smart enough to do that, Alan. I think a lot of teams would have screwed up and tried to make him a pocket passer.
No, I mean, you can't. Come on. I mean, it's like telling Michael Vick, stay in the pocket. I mean, come on. I mean, you saw what Lamar Jackson did at Louisville. I mean, it was very clear what his talent was. And the only reason you would draft him high is because he was completely insane with his running ability. And if you take that away from him, might as well not draft him, or as some people suggested, convert him to a different position. And I also would take issue with something you said. I actually think he's a much, much better passer than given credit for.
Okay. So having said all that, why has this group completely failed in understanding what they had to do to help their young quarterback succeed?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is what exactly is it other than we can complain all we want about not hiring the right coaches. We can complain all we want about bad personnel decisions or bad player development when it comes to the offensive line. But in terms of trying, I mean, my Lord, how much more could they have done to try to help Tua coming into this year? They hired
veteran linemen, too many young linemen. It was time out.
You were going
to need a miracle to gel 4 young linemen and a journeyman and make them a really good line. I don't even know if Dante Scarnecchia could have done that.
Okay, time out. A couple of important points that need to be made here. Number one, the initial question you asked is, why didn't the Dolphins do what they could? They did everything they could.
Well, what they thought they could.
Charlie, a lot of the stuff that hasn't panned out. But it's not like they didn't try. It's not like they said, okay, Tua, you're on your own. I mean,
no. But Alan, to think that basically a rookie offensive line coach with rookie offensive coordinators with a bunch of rookie linemen with no threat at running back that isn't like a monster to help complement those, like at least Ricky Williams, like we knew he ran for 2,000 yards. Let's not lie to ourselves. It was a decent line, but it was also that Ricky was so damn special that he made them look even better than what they are. So what I'm saying is maybe you could have gotten a Najee instead. Maybe you could have picked up a couple of veteran offensive linemen. Maybe you could have found a established offensive line coach that knows what the hell he's doing. Maybe you should have convinced Chan Gailey, please stay, because you know way more offense than we ever could. I understand what you're saying. And in theory, you're right that they tried everything, but they didn't really know how to do it. See, Baltimore knows how to do it, how to make Lamar the best Lamar can be. Kyler Murray, this guy knows the best way to make him what he can be. Bruce Arians is doing the same thing with Tom Brady, finding him every running back, every tight end, and every receiver in the book and an offensive line. So the man has everything he needs in order to succeed. And even Byron Leftwich, who understands him and what he needs. All of these kind of things help the quarterback grow and develop. Bill Walsh knew that he couldn't run exactly the same offense between Joe Montana and Steve Young. It was 2 different talents. So he had to run it 2 different ways. You have to understand what it is, but you also have to execute it. And while they thought they were doing it, the execution was incredibly poor.
I'm not arguing that point, but the point you were making initially was that the Dolphins didn't do what they needed to do or try to help out Tua, who, again, also, I'm going to make the point, needs more help than somebody like Lamar Jackson to succeed, number one. Number two.
And by the way, he needs more than Josh Allen. Because
correct.
if he was Josh Allen, he would have played last week. Because even if his middle finger's a little messed up, but he's got a cannon for an arm and a big arm, they would have let him go out there and at least try it, because his strength might have been able to overpower a little bit and overcome the finger. But because he's a smaller quarterback, doesn't have a cannon of an arm, they did the right thing. They actually said, you know what, dude, you're already limited physically. Now you're injured. No, we're not putting you out there. And to me, that was actually intelligent last week.
No, I have no issue with it. And here's another thing about the offensive line, and I need to take you back to comments that you made earlier, I want to say August, maybe September, where you talked about you were very, very willing and ready to deal with the growing pains that come with having such a young offensive line. Well, we're having some nasty, nasty growing pains, and we're also left with wondering.
Well, I didn't know this guy could not coach at all. That's the thing.
But also,
this is what we're running into now. There is no coaching on this team. None. Zero.
Okay, that's fair. But are we also at a point where do we really look at Austin Jackson and say it's purely coaching? This guy would be a stud if he had a great coach. No. Liam Eichenberg, who's getting run around.
I question that one. I question that one. Notre Dame puts out a lot of linemen. He had better coaching at Notre Dame, just like Tua and Waddle had better coaching at Alabama. There's too much of rotten going on there with everyone. That's where I blame coaching. Austin Jackson, I'll give you that one. But Liam Eichenberg, I think if he had a real coach, I think we'd see a much better player, dude. I really do. I
see somebody who's not nearly athletic enough to play on the edge, and edge defenders are getting around him way too easily. And I'm not sure that really speaks to coaching, as opposed to maybe this is a guy who belongs at guard. So
maybe,
but I'm not arguing your point. If Bill Callahan was coaching this offensive line, the results would be entirely better. Or Dante Scarnecchia or Alex Gibb, if we want to go way back when, back with the Broncos. But again, we did talk about the idea. It's an awfully young offensive. They tried to bring in a couple of veterans. Everything flopped. DJ Fluker flopped. Jermaine Elmanor, for some reason, they never really gave him a shot. And now he's starting in Oakland, by all accounts, playing well. Matt Skura is brought in to play center. Never sniffed a first-team rep. Now he's starting for the Giants. But there's no question, absolutely, the coaching is playing a part in it.
At one point, the offensive line coach and the head coach are sitting there going, no, we don't need this guy. We're going to keep this guy. So I don't know what, Pepe Le Pew and Flo are actually thinking, that they decided to keep these guys and let the other guys go and let veterans go. So that's my problem, that Pepe Le Pew right now, his coaching stinks, just like his tail.
I'm also going to wonder, probably until the end of the season, why was there such a need to dump Eric Flowers, who's not a great player, but right now probably would be the best offensive lineman on this team? Why? To save $2 million in salary, $2 million in salary cap? Really? To move up 14 spots in the 7th round? It's completely baffling.
Yeah, no, I'm with.
This is the